We all deal with setbacks, but in the long run, the quality of our lives often depends on the quality of our habits. With the same habits, you'll end up with the same results, but with better habits, anything is possible.
Welcome back to QR Coded. I'm Queen.
I'm Raquel.
We're thrilled that you can join us again.
Today's episode, we are diving into the topic of habits. All habits good and bad, which can get interesting, but first, let's share some life updates.
Oh yes, I love updates.
You first.
I like when we have some updates because I feel like for a while we were like, meh, it's winter. We're working on travel plans right now for the summer, which is really exciting.
That's nice.
I am officially getting a student teacher next year, which is pretty cool, and like I feel lucky to have that opportunity, and that like it's nice to know that I was trusted with that. I get to meet him next week for a little like initial, get to know you conversation. I'm living for some sunny days right now. I truly am affected by the weather, so I'm enjoying the sunshine, and I feel like spring is coming. I've been good about reading, which I struggle with during the school year. I read 2 books this past week, and I started a new one called One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I know you read her other book. You've read 2 of her books.
I've read 2, yes.
The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I read too. And then you read
Malibu Rising.
That's
by her, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah. This one is so good. It's been on my to read list for a while, and then I saw the movie trailer. It's being turned into a film, and I was like, whoa, this looks good. I need to read this as my next book. And it's so good. Do you want to hear the plot?
Sure.
So it's called One True Loves, plural.
Oh,
okay. Because this woman, she's married. Okay. She loves her husband. It's a very happy marriage and relationship. One day I think he's on a work trip, and he goes missing. His flight, something about his flight, he just goes missing. Okay. And they assume that he's never coming back. He's gone. She has to grieve his loss and move on. And a few years later, she reconnects with an old friend from high school, and they fall in love. They get married, and guess what happens? Her husband comes back.
Dun, dun, dun.
So
then what?
You should read it. I think you'd like it. Everyone else listening, you should read it. I think you'd enjoy it.
That sounds like something I would enjoy.
Yeah.
Her style of writing is nice.
It's good.
But I will say, even the 2 books that I did read, it took me a while to get through them. I wanted to finish them because I needed to know how it ended. But she just
It's a slow burn.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she just keeps you going and going.
This one is written differently. I think this one is more of a page turner.
Ooh, okay. One True Loves, guys.
One True Loves.
Got it.
Highly recommend.
All right.
What about you, Raquel? What's going on with you?
So I just had my spring break, and I say that lightly because it's not spring.
It's February.
It's definitely still snowing in Chicago. So yeah, but spring break. My school is on a quarter system, so our spring breaks always end up happening in winter, which is really strange, but I'll take it. I spent all week on a rotation though, so I was working for free essentially for 40 hours, and yeah.
I know a thing or 2 about that. It's called student teaching.
Yeah, I feel like any grad student who is in grad school obviously has to do some sort of
interning
or shadowing experience
of some pre-service
sort.
experience.
Yeah. And that's how it was for me. It wasn't really relaxing, but it's one step closer to the finish line, so
which is a win.
Yeah. So I was happy about that. I'm also very much over the snow that keeps coming and going, so I'm very much looking forward to the sunny days ahead.
Yes, spring is coming. It's on the way.
Yep.
I was actually thinking through this episode on a day off that I had recently. It was President's Day. I love getting Mondays off. I always feel so productive on those random Mondays we get.
So you want a 3-day weekend?
Yeah, always.
Yeah. A 4-day work week?
I am here. One of my students actually
take
in
notes,
our
USA.
In our argumentative unit, he proposed a 3-day work week and a 4-day. And I was like, yes, please. We're all down for that.
Yeah.
But I usually am super productive on days like that. And so I was thinking about like my habits. What habits do I have, in place that work for me? And then also I was like, what about my bad habits, the things that need to change that aren't really benefiting me? And I also got into Atomic Habits, the book by James Clear. It's super popular. I think it blew up in like 2019. And there was a quote like right off the bat, the beginning of the book in the intro, that sparked my idea for this episode.
Okay.
And the quote is, "We all deal with setbacks, but in the long run, the quality of our lives often depends on the quality of our habits. With the same habits, you'll end up with the same results. But with better habits, anything is possible." Now, when I sent this to Raquel and kind of told her my vision, she was a little skeptical.
Yes, I was, because I thought I thought what we would bring to the table in the conversation is similar to kind of our New Year's resolution episode. And we talked about how you need to be that change and make that change to see the effect in your life and see that change happen for you. So when I first thought about like habits, I was like, okay, like we can talk about changing your habits, but what more can I offer? And I feel like I'm always that's a bad habit of mine. I'm always skeptic. Okay. I need to stop doing that.
Like we've talked about this before. We're like, we're scared and we're worried that sometimes the topics we discuss and like the quotes that come up can overlap with things we've talked about before. But I think that's also just part of life. And I think it's cool to see the direction each one kind of goes into, and everyone listening and watching kind of will take away what they need from it.
Yeah. But I will say, as I read the quote and I was preparing for the episode, I thought, okay, like this makes sense. Obviously, if you incorporate the change in your life, you're going to see those changes. For example, if I sleep earlier, ideally, I would probably feel more well-rested. If I dieted, I would maybe lose weight. It's like that chain reaction. So I thought, okay, if I make something a habit that I need or I must do, anything really is possible, because I'm going to have to do that to get to where I want to be.
Yeah. So what is a habit? Let's define it. Like for me, it's a learned routine that I practice regularly. It could be a positive thing or a negative thing.
For me, it's something that I need to do, something that I always do, that becomes a part of my personality and character.
When I was looking at the quote, I loved the part that says, but in the long run, and then also the same habits. I want to just like break that down a little bit, because when I see like in the long run, life is ongoing. It's a long run, and it's important to evaluate the habits that we have. And then also same habits, I go to like that negative, right? Like we need to break the same habits, assuming that means negative habits.
Right.
I think there's a misconception when it comes to habits that they need to be like tangible and like physical routines. But we sometimes overlook like the emotional habits or habits we have in our relationships in our lives. And also we're so inclined to just go to like negative, like the bad habits. But yeah,
I will say that when I think of a habit of mine, I do tend to lean towards those physical things. Like for example, we're going to talk about our personal like good and bad habits, but like I'm just going to bring up my number one bad habit is me biting my lips. Oh my gosh. Okay. I hate that I do it.
She does it.
And Queen said it became a part of my personality, which...
It's her personality trait now.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that. But that's what I think of. I think of someone like biting their nails, someone playing with their hair, someone who chews too loud, because you will never catch me chewing too loud. I hate that.
I, on the other hand...
Queen and her gum chewing, you guys. Oh my gosh. I'll just look at Queen.
I'm
like, Queen?
Just chomping on my gum.
Stop.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And I don't chew gum as much anymore because of it.
No, come on. You're lying now. You know
I swear I'm not.
You don't do that with food. It's just the gum.
It's good because I feel like food is nasty. Gum, it's like, it's gum.
There's a term for that, and I can't think of it right now, but there's like a term for
the disgust of being disgusted of like chewing. There's a word for that. I don't know.
I have that. Whatever it is, I have that.
She has it.
Okay, but I don't dive into those like emotional habits, because to me, I don't even consider those habits, but I can see how they are.
Yeah.
Instead, I just think like, okay, I just think this way because it's just how I am.
Yeah.
Those are like my traits.
It's a fine line between a habit and a personality trait.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation earlier. It was like, oh, but that's just a personality trait. I'm like, no, there's a difference.
But it could be a habit.
Yeah. So what are some bad habits you have other than biting your lips? And then you've already exposed one of mine too, so I'm not even going to talk about that. Chewing gum loudly. What are some bad habits you would benefit from dropping?
I stay in bed way too long in the morning when my alarm goes off. Like, it'll ring at 7:30, I'm up, and I just stay in bed on my phone.
I can't do that. I shoot up out of bed.
No matter what it is too. Like, I can be working, I can be going to school, I can be like, I have stuff to do, and I'll just stay in bed for as long as I can until I need to like start getting up and I start scrambling because I stayed in bed too long. That's a bad one. I also take showers too late in the evening, which messes up with my hair routine for the next day.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, girls, you know what I mean. It's the difference between air drying and blow drying your hair, so I prefer to air dry right now.
Yeah.
Which means I need to shower earlier, so all this hair can be dry enough to go to sleep, because I don't want to sleep with my hair wet. Because if I do that, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, I woke up this morning after sleeping on my hair wet, and it looked like there was a nest on my head.
Yeah, I know. You just can't do that. But moving on from these like little things, I guess, I'm going to go deeper, obviously.
Hard shift.
There's a big switch right here. I do the most for people who don't deserve it. And I think that I overshare details of my personal life to people who, one, don't need to hear it, and two, don't share that much with me.
Okay.
Yeah. So it could kind of be related to being a pushover, me believing that everyone is approachable and has good intentions when they really don't.
Okay.
Two extremes.
Yeah, that took a turn.
I know.
You never know what you're going to get. It's okay. It's life.
Yeah.
It's my turn. Bring up bad habits.
Yeah, your turn.
My bad habits.
Yes.
My phone screen being the last thing I look at before sleeping. Like, I don't want that. I don't need that light. I know it's not good for us. So yeah. Bad habit, not speaking enough Assyrian at home. I need to do that. I need to be better about it. I'm very conscious of it. Waiting too long to wash my makeup brushes because it is a mission and a half. And then again, some kind of deeper things. Avoidance. Sometimes when something overwhelms me, I will put it off for as long as possible, and I just want to run in the opposite direction. It can be the most simple task that, okay, well, in the moment I don't look at it as a simple task, but like, usually what ends up happening is I will put something off. It'll stay on my to-do list. I'll like check all these other things, and that thing will just stay on my list on my phone. Like, I need to do this. I need to do this. And then when I do it, it takes me like 15 minutes or like it's an hour of my day.
Yeah.
And so that's a bad habit I have, and I need to break it. And then I'm unsure about this last one. Like, I kind of look at it as a bad habit because of what has come from this.
Yeah.
Every time that I've given people the benefit of the doubt. So I've kind of seen that as a bad habit. But it can be seen differently. Yeah. Oh, and then another one. Falling for trends. I like trends. I like fun trends. And it's not good for
your wallet.
Me. Yeah, financially. Yeah.
Yeah, trends are scary because they come and go.
Yeah.
So you got to know what to keep and what to get rid of. And then once you get rid of it, you're like, oh, man.
I feel like the cycle is even faster now. Like, things are just coming back. So I'm like not going to get rid of anything anymore. I'm just going to keep everything, and it'll be in, and then it'll be out, and it'll be in again. But we need some positivity. So what are your good habits?
I have a couple. I think recently I've been having more of an open mind and understanding mindset, which helps me feel content with my current stage of life. And if I'm not feeling that way, I always tell myself, like, no, you're good. I have a good head on my shoulders. So like, it's a nice, like, reassuring thing for me. And I'm also just down for anything all the time. Like,
it's a good habit.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
Always saying, like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I like that.
Thanks.
Cool.
What about you?
My good habits are attempting to read before bed, or just reading before bed. But I want that to be like the last thing I do before I fall asleep. Because
not looking on your phone.
Yeah. So like, I can scroll through TikTok and then read for a bit.
Okay.
Telling others how I truly feel. I think that's a good habit that I have. And, you know, when you put everything out there, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So making a daily to-do list, and I've kind of paired that with prioritizing tasks. I always will write down a daily to-do list at work, and the things that are priorities, I put them at the top of the list and I get them done. And if the other things don't get done, they don't get done. They move over. I shift them over to my next day. And the things that need to happen will happen, and the things that don't, they don't. It's fine. And then I think a good habit that I've had that I had to develop, but making the bed as soon as I wake up. Yeah. Obviously, unless if Steve's still asleep, I don't make the bed. Just pull it over. And then I think a good habit that I have too is saying no. When something I can't give my all to something, and I know I'm not gonna do it justice, and because it is draining, it is exhausting for me, I can't give it my all. I'll end up hurting someone in the process or disappointing someone. I just say no. Saying no. Yeah.
Once you're able to do that, that comes with age, I feel like.
Yeah,
too.
It takes time.
But it feels good to know what you can say yes and what you can say no to.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah. We wanted to do something different, so we asked a few people in our lives to send us a good habit and a bad habit that they have. And this is the list we compiled.
We're not going to share who said what, but if you know, you know. So I'll share the good ones, and then Queen will go into the bad ones. Yeah. But the good ones that we got is, I'll start off with this one saying, working out, which is super rewarding because you learn to prioritize it and make time for yourself to take care of yourself both mentally and physically. Another one is giving people the benefit of the doubt, which you mentioned as your bad one, which is interesting to see the shift here.
Perspective, I guess, and life experiences can cause that.
Another one is creating routines for myself to help stay on track with everything, loving stability and structure. And then our last two, one of them is always calling and checking on my family and friends, and then always trying to see the positive in all the things.
Nice. I like that. And then they also gave us their bad habits. We have not saying no when I know I can't handle taking on what I'm about to say yes to. So overloading myself. And then similarly, saying yes to everyone that asks me to do something. We have, I expect people to see things the same way I do and fail to see their perspective in advance. Good one.
I'm guilty of that too.
Not communicating clearly due to my people-pleasing tendencies. And then procrastination. One thing I want to point out, I don't know if this happened to you too, but we clearly asked for one good and one bad habit. And a few people forgot to send us their good habits. They only sent us their bad habits.
Yeah, for me, it was I asked for both, and then I instantly got the bad habits right away. And I was like, okay, good one. What's the good ones? And then they were like, oh, I don't know. Yeah. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? No, there's something good that you do. And then they had to dive in deep. And they're like, okay, I guess this. I'm like, yeah, that works. So they resorted to the bad one.
Yeah,
right
and it just goes to show
I did too.
Tend to go to the negative right away. But it's good to see the good.
Yeah. I think we mentioned earlier, we talked about habits and goals and how they're different, but they're not. So as we near the end of our conversation, we're briefly going to touch on the relationship between a habit and a goal. What's the difference? So to me, they're completely different, but I can see how they almost go hand in hand. Because a goal is that end vision or something that you're working towards to achieve and attain in the future. It's something that you want for yourself. And habits and actions that you form repeatedly will help you get there or not, depending on the habit. Because sometimes a bad habit can be what's preventing you from getting to that goal.
I like that. That's insightful.
Yeah.
It's a good way to look at it. I look at it as repetition is the key word that I think of. With goals, there's a desired quote unquote end result. But with habits, it's a routine you want to implement in order to become a pattern in your life. And then, like you said, ultimately you reach the goals. It's a tool to help you get to your goal.
Exactly.
A good habit.
Yep.
And speaking of tools, this is a side note, but there's this really cool habit tracking app that I had to re-download when I was kind of planning for this today. You can not post, you just kind of like submit a few of your habits you want to work on. And it's really cute. You can like put cute little emojis in there and like little motivational like quotes to yourself to pair with the habit. And then there's like a little weekly calendar, and you just check the day as you complete it. So like, for example, if I want to read every night, that's one of my habits. And it shows like, right now, if you look at it, there's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. And so like I can check it and just check each day. And it's really cool to visualize it and see. And I think there's some psychology behind that. Like being able to like visualize and see all of your habits you're checking. Yeah. It's really cool. So if you are looking to like work on your habits, try to look at that. This is not sponsored.
It'd be nice if it was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I found this other quote from the same person who wrote Atomic Habits. Yeah. I think it was part of like a separate article or something as like an extension of the book. And it says, on average, it takes more than 2 months before a new behavior becomes automatic, 66 days to be exact. And how long it takes a new habit to form can vary widely depending on the behavior, the person, and the circumstances. So it takes time, but not too much time. And I think...
I don't even associate time with my habits. Like, I don't even know when they started to begin with.
Right. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because it's just like this part of your routine. Yeah. The good and the bad. So it takes time, but it also is not that much time. And so I think the first step is evaluating and then implementing. Yeah. Yeah. You want to go over the original quote one more time?
Yeah. We gave you guys a quote within a quote. But let's go over the OG one again really quick. It says, we all deal with setbacks, but in the long run, the quality of our lives often depends on the quality of our habits. With the same habits, you'll end up with the same results. But with better habits, anything is possible. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. So thanks for listening and watching. As always, we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Spread the word and break those bad habits.
I'm Queen.
I'm Raquel. And this is QR Quoted.